A man bought X boxes of donuts for $3.49 each. He paid with a $50 bill and received the correct amount of change. If he received more than $10 but less than $20, which inequality represents the number of boxes of donuts he could have bought? Okay, so we're thinking boxes and the amount of change he received, right? So I'm going to make a little table for that. Boxes and his change. All right, we have no idea how many boxes, but looking at my answer choices, we have a pretty good idea, right? The smallest number it could be is what? 8. And the biggest number it could be is 12. So it could be anywhere in between those. 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. Could be any of those number of boxes. Okay, and what we do know is that he paid with a $50 bill, right? No matter how many boxes he bought, he paid with a $50 bill. So each one of these starts out with $50. Okay? And each box costs $3.49. So I'm taking away $3.49 times however many boxes each time, right? So here, $3.49 times how many boxes for that first one? How many boxes do we say the first? 8. All right, and I can put that in my calculator. So what is 50 minus 349 times 8? Good. 22.08. All right. Same idea here for 9. So I'm going to take out 349, but this time times 9 boxes. How much is left for me then? Good. Okay, and then for 10 boxes, 349 times 10.
15.1.
Okay, 15.1, 15.10. Okay, and then same thing for 11 boxes. What's that going to leave me with? That's what I got, was 1161. There we go. All right, and then the last one is for 12 boxes.
8.12.
Okay. All right, and then they told us he received in change more than, oops, I need to move the whole thing, more than $10, but less than 20. So which one of these, or multiple of these, falls between more than 10, but less than 20?
11 and 9.
Right. 9, 10, and 11. 8 is too much, right? 12 is too little. So it has to be from 9 to 11. So which answer choice would that be? There we go. It's from 9 to 11. Okay. All right. So now we are going to be talking about that input and output. So it says here, a function can be a rule. A function can be a rule with input values which is going to be our domain, and our domain is our x's, right? And output values, which is going to be our range or our y values. So input is x, output is y. Okay, so keeping that in mind, they give us a few examples here. They said that the domain, which we know is our x values, are these three numbers. Okay? The rule or the function is 2x plus 3. The output is my y or my range, right? That's what I'm looking for. Okay? So I put the x, which is my input, into the rule. So I would have 2, but instead of x, the first number I can plug in is -1 plus 3. All right, and then we're going to see what we get out of that. So what is 2 times -1?
-2.
And what is -2 plus 3?
1.
Good. So my first output is 1. Same idea, but now we're going to check it with an input of 0. So 2 times 0 plus 3. Well, 2 times 0 is plus 3 would just give us 3. All right? And then the last one, we're plugging in 1. So I'll have 2 times 1 plus 3.
You got it.
Good. Okay, so that would mean that my range are these three values, right? So we got 1, 3, and 5. All right, and then remember back a few days ago, we talked about how to put those in a table, right? We put the x value directly across from its matching y value. So my first x value was -1, and what y value went with that? 1. Positive 1. My next x value is 0. What went with that? Good. And then my last one is 1, and the output was very good. Okay, it also wants us to list those as ordered pairs. So as a coordinate point, basically. So I would have -1, 1. What would the next one be? So the first one is -1, 1. What's my next coordinate point? 0, 3. And then the last one would be good. Okay. All right, so then it says function notation. The rule y equals 2x plus 3 can also be written as f of x equals 2x plus 3. So it's saying that y and f of x mean the same thing. They can be used interchangeably. Which tells you what x value you need to plug in for the rule. So normally there's an x in the parenthesis, but if they wanted you to find f of -1, since that's normally where an x is, that would mean anywhere there's an x, you should plug in a -1. Okay? So keeping that in mind, let's give these a try. So domain is my what values, x or y? X. So that means anywhere there's an x, I'm going to start replacing it with these numbers here. So starting here, f, but instead of x, I'm going to plug in -2 equals, instead of x squared, again, I'm going to put in that -2 squared, and then we have -3. So all I did was replace all the x's with a -2. Okay, so what is -2 squared?
-4.
So when we square something, that means times itself, right? Positive 4, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So I'll have 4 minus 3, which is, if you put that in your calculator to see what it is, you have to put the parentheses around the -2. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing, but this time f of 0. So that means instead of x squared, I'm going to have 0 squared minus 3. Well, what is 0 squared? 0. So I've got 0 minus 3.
-3.
Very good. All right, and the last one is 2. So anywhere there's an x, I'm going to put in a 2. So I'll have 2 squared minus 3. Because that would be 4 minus 3, which is 1. Okay, and it did ask us to find the range. So my range would be equal to the set of numbers we got here. Well, the numbers we got were 1, 3, or 1, negative 3, and 1, right? But if I get the same number more than once, I only have to write it one time, okay? So I got 1 and negative 3 for my range. All right? Okay, same idea over here. Again, they gave me domain. We know domain is x. So anywhere there's an x, I'm going to go in and replace it with those numbers. So instead of g of x, my first one is going to be g of, very good, is equal to negative 2, and instead of x, I'm going to plug in, and then we have minus 4. So what is negative 2 times negative 4? 8. And what is 8 minus 4? Very good. Okay, now I've got to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to plug in negative 1. So g of negative 1 is equal to, how would I write that? Negative, very good, minus 4. Okay, so negative 2 times negative 1 is going to become positive 2. And 2 minus 4 is, very good. All right, last one. Got to plug in 2. So I'll have negative 2 times 2 minus 4. Good. And it did ask us to list this range. So my range is equal to the set of these numbers. So for us, that was 4, negative 2, and negative 8. We didn't end up having any that repeated, so we don't have to learn. Okay, so flip it over on the back. Okay, it says find the values indicated, and it says for h, these are our coordinate points. Okay, so here when it says h of 6, normally there's an x in here, right? So it's saying when x is 6, so that would be this coordinate point, right? That's the only one that has x being 6. What is my y? And that's it. Okay. This one says when x is negative 2, that would be, right, that first parenthesis, y is 6. And for h of 8, y is, very good. So if you plug in your x, what do you get for y? It's what all these are asking. Okay? All right. Says if f of x is equal to 2 minus 1.3x and g of x is equal to 2.5x squared minus 9.1, find the following. So the first thing that they give us is f of negative 2. That means I'm looking at this one, right? I don't care about g for this one. And that means anywhere there's an x, I'm supposed to replace it with negative 2. So I would have f of negative 2 is equal to 2 minus 1.3, but instead of x, I plug in negative 2. Okay? So if I type that in my calculator, what do I get? So that's my output. So I put negative 2 in, I get 4.6 out. The next one is g. So this time I'm looking at the second equation, right? And it says I should replace all the x's with what? 5. So I'm going to rewrite it. G of 5 is equal to 0.25, and instead of x, we said to plug in 5, so I got 5 squared minus 9.1. If I type all that in my calculator, what am I going to get? Very good. Alright, and then last one like this, it says we're supposed to have f of 4. Okay, so I'm looking at the f function and replacing all the x's with 4. So I'll have 2 minus 1.3 times 4. What's that going to give me? There we go. Okay, but I'm also supposed to add to that g of -1, so I got to see what that is as well. So this time I'm plugging into the second equation. So I got 2.5 times -1 squared minus 9.1. What does that one give us? I think I got an 8. Yeah, that's what I got. -8.85. Okay, and it said I was supposed to add those two things together, right? So I should have -3.2 plus -8.85. Close.
-12.05.
There you go. All right. So, although it's been introduced to us different ways, the only thing we have done so far is anywhere there's an x, we replace it and see what we get out of it. Okay? All right, last one says the following table shows values for h of x. Find the following. So here, h of 4, that means instead of x, I'm looking for where x is 4. So what is y when x is 4? So I have 74 minus 3.
71.
Very good. Okay. This says h of x plus 2 for x being equal to 2. So that means I need to take that 2 and put it right there for x. So I'll have h of 2 plus 2. Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. And we know that when x is 4, 74. All right, last one. We've got 3h of x, but they tell us x is 0. So I'm going to plug that in here. 3 times h of 0. Well, if I look back up at that chart, when x is 0, what is y? -10. So I'll really have 3 times -10, which is,
-80.
there we go.